In this video, we look at how to catch a true beach specialist of shallow waters, the California Corbina. We'll first look at the top stretches of coastline that they are found. We'll then cover ideal California Corbina conditions, followed by some all-important techniques for the species. We'll give a guide on ideal tackle, as well as the rundown on some ideal Corbina baits. So exactly where can we catch Corbina? Corbina are predominantly a species of Southern California, being commonly found as far down as the Gulf of California, all the way up past Santa Barbara, leading up to Point Conception. So what are the best conditions for Corbina? It's actually possible to catch them year-round, though the main seasonal window typically runs from May up to October, with the peak season running from mid-July up to September due to the ideal surf conditions that are produced during this period. This species spawns around the month of July. Note, as ever, we always encourage you to check the local regulations of any state you wish to fish before targeting a specific species. In terms of tide, one of the best phases for fishing for Corbina tends to be the ebb tide. This can be particularly true during minus tides, which effectively is an ebb tide that occurs during a large tide, as this will expose a larger amount of ground. The reason these tides are productive is that they not only create access to features for the angler, they also create ideal feeding conditions for the Corbina themselves over certain key features. We'll discuss this more in a moment. Note it's actually possible to fish for them at any state of tide. The key again is having ideal water conditions and feature access. Ideal wave action for Corbina would typically be an easy surf. The reason being is this promotes foam surface cover that not only brings the fish close to shore more confidently, but it also allows us to target the species in a more stealthy way. Surface foam reduces both vision and sound. Both dawn and dusk are a brilliant time to target this species, inducing the species' predatory instincts. Dawn in particular is also ideal for fishing on crowd-free beaches in areas that would otherwise be busy in the day. Now for some all-important key methods when targeting this species. Corbina can be found in very shallow water, as little as 3 feet deep. The actual typical range of depth they are fished in is between 3 to around 20 feet in depth. They are commonly found on very shallow profile beaches where the incline of the beach gradually slopes. Holes or depressions are features Corbina will regularly visit, as these areas will hold the food that they feed on. Arguably, by far one of the best features to cast to are sand crab beds. Sand crabs are amongst one of their most common prey. Sand crab beds can be spotted in the shallows as the water passes over them. You can see an example of this in the following image. They create darker lined areas as they break the surface of the water. If you intend to use a more standard surf casting method, we suggest to target beaches that have healthy populations of sand crabs present, the more the better. As with other species, it's best to keep mobile by fishing a feature and moving within 10 to 20 minutes if a bite is not produced, or there's no sign of fish. Spotting fish with the aid of polarized sunglasses can be a brilliant tactic. Remember, this species comes into very shallow water. It's important to note that Corbina are spooked easily, so avoid casting directly to them when surf casting. We also will be covering sight casting using light tackle in another video, which can be an effective way around this. So what would be a suitable setup when surf fishing for Corbina? Ideally, we will want a long and light style surf rod. This will allow us to cast lighter weight to avoid spooking fish. A maximum weight of 1 ounce will be ideal. A slightly longer rod between 8 to 10 feet long will allow us to better control the position of the lead when keeping the line tight. A spinning or fixed spool reel of around size 3000 will be all we need. We can use mainline of either mono, braid, or fused line. The breaking strain should be anywhere between 6 to 12 pounds. Consider using the max end of this range when using braid. If using mono, consider fishing the lighter end of this range. Using a fluorocarbon casting leader will greatly reduce your chances of spooking fish and presenting baits naturally. This should be 8 pounds breaking strain max. When using braid mainline, make sure this casting leader does not run through the eyes of the rod. Use just a short drop from the rod tip down for some added stealth. A Carolina rig will not only help us find those hole features we spoke of, but it will also allow us to cast more stealthily, causing minimal bottom and top water disturbance. An egg sinker between half an ounce to 1 whole ounce will help keep casts as quiet as possible. Our hook length, like our casting leader, should also ideally be fluorocarbon for maximum stealth. A sensible range would be between 6 to 8 pounds breaking strain, with a minimum length of 20 inches. A size 8 hook will be all that's needed to prevent the relatively small baits required. When you keep the line tight enough and ready to strike for a bite, be sure to have some slight slack on the main line, just enough to not make your baits appear unnatural. So what would be some top Corbina baits? When it comes to natural baits for Corbina, there is really only one thing you need, and that's sand crab, also known as mole crab. They come in both hard and soft shell varieties, and the soft shells can be particularly effective. Large sand crab can be effective for larger fish, but avoid over-relying on large baits as you will miss some good catches. Corbina will take sand crab of all sizes. Always be sure to leave plenty of point exposed on the hook to avoid missing bites. Other alternative hook baits are the sandworm soft plastic imitation grubs. If you'd like to catch a selection of surf perch species or yellowfin croaker from the surf, be sure to take a look at the videos showing now. Be sure to subscribe to the channel to be notified of future videos and show your support. Thanks for watching. We hope to see you guys again.